First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation and thanks to the IDSA for the invitation and managing this wonderful and very timely event. The West Asia in the midst of historic tumult. The conflict and terrorism have spread. As the conflict and terrorism have spread, some historic regional powers have collapsed, and the geopolitical landscape that underpinned the region order for decades has been upended. Among the seminal factors contributing to regional instability and spread of radicalization have been, first, the continuing Israeli occupation of Palestine; second, Saddam's invasion of Iran in 1980 and Kuwait in 1990; third, the 2001 US-led invasion of Afghanistan; fourth, the 2003 US invasion of Iraq; fifth, the outbreak of Arab Spring in 2011; sixth, NATO GCC war on Libya in 2011; seven, orchestrating and recruiting tens of thousands of terrorists from over 80 countries to bring regime change in Syria; and eight, the 2015 Saudi-US war on Yemen. These developments have effectively torn up much of Arab world, dragging major Arab powers like Libya, Syria into civil war and terrorism. Third, the collapse of US regional allies in Egypt, Tunisia, the flow of tens of thousands of terrorists into the region and beyond, and the advent and the spread of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other terrorist groups to the region and even beyond. As traditional Arab powers, Egypt, Iraq, Libya, and Syria have fallen into disarray, Saudi Arabia, today effectively led by 33-year-old Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, is attempting to take the mantle of leadership over the Arab world. The new regional power dynamics has in effect seen the formation of two major blocs. One comprised of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Israel, and United States under the leadership of Donald Trump. And the second, Iran, Russia, Syria, Hezbollah, Iraq, and other popular mobilized militias such as Al-Hashd al-Shabi in Iraq and Syrian Defense Forces. While the United States and Russia are the two most consequential global powers affecting the fate of the region, at the regional level, Iran and Saudi Arabia plays important role. Saudi Arabia has in recent years veered away from its traditional conservative and behind-the-scene foreign policy approach to far more assertive and openly hostile to Iran strategy. It is a fact that Saudi Arabia and Iran have influence on the crisis in Yemen, Libya, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Bahrain, Qatar, and elsewhere in the region. However, the US, Israel, and Saudi Arabia blame Iran for the discord in the Arab world and instability in the region, despite the success of Iran nuclear negotiation in alleviating international concerns over Iranian nuclear program. But from the Iranian point of view, the real reasons behind failing the Arab unity and the crisis in the region have little to do with Iran and lie closer at, first, dysfunctionalities of Arab states; second, decades of dictatorship and corruption in the Arab countries; third, the spread of Wahhabism; fourth, Arab wars such as Saddam's invasion of Kuwait, GCC invasion of Libya, and Saudi UAE invasion of Yemen; and fifth, Riyadh's doorstep in many cases in the region. For instance, the cause of Palestine, which for years was the top source of angst and unity in the Arab-Muslim world. Arab and Muslim world has today lost its significance to such a degree for the Saudi prince, the Saudi government pressuring Palestinians to accept maximalist demands of Israelis. In December 2017, New York Times, citing Palestinians, Arabs, and Europeans, stated that MBS had presented Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas a plan that would be more tilted toward the Israeli than any ever embraced by the American government. On December 6, 2017, President Trump formally recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, reversing nearly 7 decades of American foreign policy because he was sure MBS is committed to confront Iran and to push Palestinians to compel to Israeli demands. In short, the reality is that the Arab world, led by Saudi Arabia, is seemingly on the verge of historic capitulation to Israel. The Gulf Cooperation Council is for all intents and purposes now also defunct. This too is not it has nothing to do with Iran, but chiefly due to the smaller Persian Gulf states' perennial fear of falling victim to hegemonic Saudi aspiration, as exemplified by Saudi Arabia effectively turning Bahrain into its own province, and most recently with Saudi-led blockade of Qatar. Doha officially now regularly proclaims before the world that Saudi Arabia seeks to turn the regime down in Doha to bring regime change. The chaos that has engulfed Libya in crisis has also had nothing to do with Iran, but it's due to regime change military operation that overthrew Muammar bin Gaddafi in 2011, led by NATO and U.S. Arab allies, including UAE and Saudi Arabia. In Yemen, the narrative of Iran-backed Houthis instigating a civil war is simplistic and ignores the historic context. The fact is that the Saudi assault on Yemen has resulted in thousands of civilian deaths, triggered an unprecedented cholera epidemic, and taken the country to the edge of widespread famine in what has become the world's worst humanitarian catastrophe. Saudi Arabia regional strategy can be encapsulated in 5 points. 1, trying to keep American military, security, political, and economic dominance over the region. 2nd, ally with Israel to gain the support of the powerful international Zionist movement. 3rd, confront Iran and its regional allies and instigate a possible U.S. war on Iran. 4, pressure Palestinians into accepting Israeli demands, effectively eliminating the issue of Palestine and marking official recognition of Israel by the Arab world. 5th, dominate the smaller Persian Gulf states and muster an Arab coalition in the form of an Arab NATO or other means to isolate and confront Iran. In response, Iran's strategy can be also summarized in 5 points. 1, resist U.S. hegemony in Persian Gulf and improve its relation with the other global powers. 2nd, resist Israeli occupation and support Palestinians and resistance groups of Palestine such as Hamas. 3rd, all-out confrontation with Takfiri terrorist groups whose root ideology is Wahhabi Salafism, such as Al-Qaeda, Jabhat al-Nusra, and ISIS. 4, act as counterbalance to Saudi effort to impose hegemony over the smaller Arab Persian Gulf sheikhdoms. After the Saudi blockade of Qatar, the small state only access to outside world was through its air and sea border with Iran, which kept it open for its use. To this end, Iran has sought to maintain normal ties with GCC states who have no appetite for Saudi hegemony, including Oman and Kuwait. 5. Confront Israel's strategic aim to disintegrate 4 Islamic countries, Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and Iran, by supporting Kurdish separatist aspirations. All 4 of these countries share many interests, and with the resolution of the Syrian crisis, the ground will be created for broader cooperation between these 4 countries. Given these conflicting strategies, Saudi and Iran, they have 2 options. One is to continue the status quo of confrontation. The chief implementation of this option will be that the unstable regional status quo will continue to deteriorate. Any prospect of eliminating terrorist groups in the vein of ISIS will be diminished. Sectarianism will increase, and there will be a real risk of disastrous war, which will not only engulf regional powers, but maybe global powers. The other option is for Saudi Arabia and Iran to pursue avenues of cooperation. To do this, Riyadh and Tehran must first gain substantive and sincere understanding of each other's security threats and concerns, and then explore mutually acceptable paths to alleviating them. The cooperation option should entail, first, Riyadh and Tehran to openly and without any precondition enter into bilateral dialogue and put all of their security concerns and aims on the negotiation table. Second, forums for Iranian-Arab dialogue should be convened by figures with technocratic backgrounds ranging from scientists to diplomats. Third, to decrease sectarianism in the Muslim world, Sunni-Shia dialogue forum should take place that see the participation of Sunni scholars from Al-Azhar and religious leaders from Saudi Arabia and other Sunni countries, as well as Shia clerics from Qom to Najaf. Fourth, dialogue between the 6 GCC states, Iran and Iraq, should take place without any precondition at the level of foreign ministers, with the aim of creating an institutionalized security and cooperation system in the Persian Gulf. The foreign ministers should hear each other's concern in a constructive dialogue and take steps toward producing tangible and fair solution. A potential model can be the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, and the EU itself. One foundation for immediate negotiation can be UN Security Resolution 598, which at the Article 8 says to examine in consultation with Iran and Iraq and with other states of the region measures to enhance the security and stability in the region. Any sustainable partnership between Persian Gulf states must address 8 principles. First, respect for sovereignty. Second, non-use of force. Third, respect for borders and territorial integrity. Fourth, peaceful settlement of disputes. 5, non-interference in internal affairs of other countries. 6, commitment to United Nations Charter and its principles. 7, refraining from exacerbating sectarianism differences in the region and beyond. And 8, respecting each other's political system. Over time, a gradual process that begins with simply holding regular meetings wherein all countries can communicate their security grievances can result in more institutionalized cooperative relationships. Thank you.